Welcome to another chapter of In the Keep podcast. I'm your very own prophet of the drowned god, the Motherlode. This show is all about the world of arena first-person shooters, classic FPS games, their legacies, their lineage, and the people who keep that world turning. These are the players, the developers, the streamers, the influencers. It is the will of the drowned god Cathala that our communities band together in her cathedral to frag and give one another into oblivion for all eternity. Happy Halloween, motherfuckers. If you haven't already, I think this episode will come out on the 29th, so you have like a couple more days to submit your pictures for the Caco-lantern contest. That is a jack-o'-lantern that looks like a caco-demon, or, you know, whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter. It's just all about having fun. Go to the Discord page, hashtag Caco-lantern contest, and submit your pictures there. Super fun. Have a good time, and hopefully we'll be able to throw you a little something if you win. That said, want to say thank you to all of our supporters, in particular a few patrons I want to say hey to. Dots, love you. Nationwide, Moose, fucking love you, man. Paul, we love you. Zach, we love you. You guys are all super awesome, and you are what keeps this podcast financially viable and able to be produced. So thank you very much for doing that. You have pleased the drowned god Cathala. Please continue to do so. Anyone else there who wants to support the show, you have several options to do so. Obviously, there's Patreon. We have our tipping page, which you can just drop tips into or whatever, which all the money goes back into the community. It's not just for us to make money. It's for us to make the podcast better, to make our production for streams better, to provide prize pools, any tournaments that we end up doing, that kind of thing. All goes to the community. And also we have the Amazon affiliate link, which you can just go buy shit on Amazon through that link. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Whatever you buy will be, like a small percentage of it will be kicked back to us. So you don't lose anything out of that. That's a really good way to do it. All that available on our website, inthekeep.com. Go check it out. Also, there are all of our episodes from the past and links to different ways to listen to the episode and our Twitch and, all that fucking social media shit. It's whatever. Inthekeep.com. You know what you're doing. You're smart. I believe in you. Also want to make an announcement that we do have the Keep t-shirts on Redbubble available for purchase at this time. So, we've not yet reached our goal to buy a bunch of them and stock up and then, give them out to people, or sell them from our unit. But I think Redbubble's a viable option. We're going to try it out. We've not yet reached the goal to actually get all of, the bulk. But when we do, which hopefully this will be part of, we will then give all you Patreons your free shirts that we promised you. It will happen. But for now, $19.99 USD on Redbubble. Go get the Keep t-shirt, and hopefully you enjoy that as much as I enjoy mine, which I think mine currently is the only one in existence. All right, now let's talk about this interview. Our guest this week is Hawr1x. He is an eSports journalist for Quake.cz, dedicated to providing all this really cool statistical information, especially about Quake Champions at this point. Quake.cz has been covering Quake since the beginning, pretty much. They've always covered it. And Hawr1x actually took over during the heyday of Quake 4, so we're going to hear a little bit about that. And he's now covering the Quake Pro League on an international scale, a lot, all the time. It's kind of holy shit, this guy's doing a lot of crazy work, monitoring everything and keeping track of all these stats, which you can see on his website. We're going to talk a little bit about the state of the QPL, the modernization of eSports, how he gets his information, which is pretty crazy. He's done a lot of wacky traveling, and I'll let him tell that story. And also just who our favorite Quake players and discussing Quake in general. It's a really fun interview, and I had a great time talking to him, so I hope you do too. Music this week is by Immorpher. He makes some of the most awesome dark ambient music out there. You can hear him on the latest episode of Quakecast, and you can go check his shit out on Bandcamp. Without any further ado, let's get in the Keep with Hawr1x.
So my name is Hawr1x, and I'm father of 3 little girls, co-owner of pharmacy, and gamer and Quaker for ages.
And
I'm taking ages and ages. It's like 20 years or so. And I'm taking care about Quake.cz, which is I believe I can say it, like oldest Quake dedicated server in the world right now, still running, because most of the, let's say, old times web are not in the work anymore. I mean, Clan Base and GGL and other are basically dead or working on the forum or not mainstream base.
Yeah, it's most of the sites are kind of like dedicated to their particular game. You know, you'll have like quakeworld.news, just Quakeworld, and is never going to move on to the other Quakes, which it shouldn't. It should preserve the game it wants to. But what I've always, when I say always, I mean like since I became aware of it recently. But as you showed me through like the history of Quake.cz, it's always kind of like moved to the current, like the eSports side of things. Like what is popular going on? What are the newest players doing? The stats, everything. And that's a really important information to have archived, in my opinion.
It is. And that's why I admire Quakeworld community in general, because they are doing amazing job with their Wikipedia, with players information.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are trying to find info that is 15 years old, you can go there and you will find it. And this is, I think, the strongest community in Quake in general that we had, because the guys that are dedicated to Quakeworld, they're doing amazing job. They are working on the Quake itself as a game.
Yep.
And they are working amazingly on the information and keeping the community alive. And you can imagine that most of the guys are like 35, 40 years old. So they are hardcore fans of the game.
Yeah.
So
old as fuck.
Amazing. Yeah.
It's okay. BPS is old as fuck. You can say that. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know how old is he, but
I don't know, like 108 or something. He's an old crusty. No.
So he was here before the Quake even were created, and we can discuss that he maybe by his will created this game.
Yes,
so he can own it. Yeah. And the history of Quake, it actually was about gaming in general when it was founded in 1996, and it was covering all the games from Quake, which was released, to other shooters and other stuff. And that trend you mentioned about going with, let's say, with flow, is recently, and it's because of my person, because I kind of love Quake 4 when it was released, and it was fourth generation of the website that actually that was the moment when I joined Quake community on my current position. We can call it chief editor or whatever, but usually as the community in Czech was always small, it was mostly about the single persons that were taking care about each title from the Quake. So I continued with Quake Champions because we find out that Quake 4 was not kind of successful as everybody was expected, because it was released as a single player.
Yeah.
And Q4 Max and it was Battlefy or something, Battle FX or something like that, the other modification. So they were trying to make it eSports, but I think that they succeeded just partially, because Quake 4 in general was not that ready for the eSport. So I had big hopes for the Quake Champions when it was released, and because my kids were a bit older and I have time, I decided let's do something for the Quake Champions. So that's why we are right now taking care about Quake Pro League, and that we are trying to make the informations that I think should be part of the coverage, not by community, but the Bethesda or its software themselves. Because if they want to make something big, and we have let's say 20 players that pledge whole year to this competition, I believe they deserve this kind of spotlight on them.
For sure.
So yeah,
it's one of the cool things about like quakechampions.cz in particular is you go on there and you look at the player stats. Like it's very beautifully laid out and everything. Like each match, every week it's been updated. And I just like the layout in general. It looks beautiful. It's very readable, and even I just click the translate button and bam, English. Like cool, but
it should be in English, man.
It does.
But the truth is that I'm not quite sure about the level of English I'm presenting over there. Yeah,
it's all good.
But I'm trying.
Google's got your back, man. But yeah, it's beautiful. Another thing that's really interesting is I don't know if you're actually traveling around doing this stuff or if you're doing it remotely, but the halftime shows that I've seen you kind of do with sort of short interviews with the pro players are really cool too.
Because we have that 1 week off because the issues at Faceit. I decided to reach to the players and do this kind of interviews.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I'm trying to prepare for stage 2. So if I tell you what's going on through my mind is I'm preparing to go to Luka, and I'd like to open the discussion with the guys, with John and with Tokyo, to do some kind of, let's say, closer cooperation. Because we created tools that is able to dump all the information for the matches from the stats that are right now on the stats.quake.com. So we are able to download those data, put it into our database, and make all those statistics that I'm right now making by hand. We can make this automatically. So that will open more space to do interview with players and do more of this stuff, because right now everything is done as a, let's say, after work hobby. I can spend some time in my office to do this, and my let's say after hours when kids are sleeping, I can spend this time doing this. But if you spend most of the time counting each player, then there is no space for other activities, which I would love to do, because I think that, as I mentioned before, that spotlight should be on the players, and they are the main star of the community. And this is what I believe should be the main goal. That stats should be like something that is part of the coverage from base, and it's automated.
Right.
The procession of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you see that in all professional sports, especially in America, with like football and baseball and everything. Like, if you want honest to goodness, real coverage, like the stats are everything. There's an entire career field in just monitoring sports stats, and
yeah. It's like I was never a fan of the stats, but once I tried to process the matches that were presented from week to week, I said, let's do it. It could be fun to do this, because. You can see it's kind of crazy how the performance of each player differs from the arena they are playing. Usage of the weapons, and you have players that are built just on the LG, for example. There are people that can literally shoot thousands of bolts during the match.
Yeah,
that's crazy. And then you see players that have 200 shots out of LG, and still he have amazing performance, and he's doing great. So. I think that these stats can be interesting for fans and also for the players as well, because it can help them to make better tactics and other stuff. I don't know if this is something that players actually want, to be honest. It's like, I will show everybody what you are built of. But then again, we can do this. And I believe that guys from Faceit have link to every match that was played, and they can do this like by clicking. So this should be part of the coverage, I think, by default.
You see players that kind of like specialize in a certain technique or a certain weapon, and then they sort of get robotic, and we didn't really see that start to take off until Fatality came on the scene, and like way back into the Quake 3 days. But Quake 3 sort of changed the way that Quake was played in every way. We don't see as much weapon denial anymore in modern Quake games, or from Quake 3 on. We see a lot more people that you're able to, whatever weapon you want to get a hold of, generally speaking, you can. And then a lot of people are like, incredible, as you said, with the LG, or incredible with the railgun and things like that. And then you have, like, I remember quite a while back, early when I started the podcast, to talk to Cygib about this, because he was a big team player. He played team games, and that's not really the case. They have to kind of use the weapons that are made available to them in the situation. It's not as easy to just run around and pick shit up. So you'll have players like him who are extremely dynamic and can be good with basically any weapon. I remember, I think it was PGL 2018. We just suddenly saw a whole bunch of players become really good with the tri-bolt, of all things, for some reason. And, but yeah,
I think, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's like,
no.
I'm really surprised that tri-bolt is kind of underused, because the way you can cover all the hallways with it is amazing. So yeah, I think that there are still a lot of things that people will find out about the game, about champions, and about using of the weapons. And for example, I was really surprised last week when Rafa started to use shotgun, and it was crazy how much damage he can deal. And I tried on Corrupted Keep.
Yeah.
When you are just flying around the map and you just turn around, shoot the shotgun, deal damage, and you basically are unstoppable from the enemy, because you make the like instant damage. So it's really crazy map, because there is no railgun. People are using LG at most, but then a lot of use of machine gun. And then when you see Rafa with shotgun, it's crazy.
It's like,
what he can do. Yeah. And nobody did it before. But you check week 1 to week 7, there was like, okay, we have shotgun, so we fire it because we don't have another weapon. But then Rafa started to use it on a vast percentage of time. I don't know how to say it properly, so I'm sorry if I'm butchering English.
You did.
But yeah, so there's a shift we are right now following, and it's all thanks to format of Quake Pro League, because you have week-to-week matches, and it's as I said, for the 1 year event. So
we used to call that the Rafa special, where he just like he's so good at that. You'll see him do it on Molten Falls. I believe there was a really good match. I can't remember who he was playing against, but he does that where he'll just pop out a shotgun. He knows exactly the moment when it's necessary, and that's what a lot of obviously everyone but him probably struggles with. He's the best, I think, objectively, or we'll see at the end of the Pro League. But yeah, he's always been very good at knowing exactly what weapon to use in exactly what situation. And for a lot of people, they become comfortable using basically 3 weapons, and occasionally like a machine gun will come out and everything. But Rafa, he never forgets that he has everything in his repertoire, it appears.
I played against Rafa once. It was in Quake 4, and it ended up like 41-1. It was part of the QuakeCon quad damage tournament where I traveled, so I still love that experience. If it was good or bad, I don't know, but it was really, really fast. So then we played Monsoon, and I was just respawning for 10 minutes. Respawn, kill. And when you look back on it from his path, everything is so obvious what he does, and how he's covering map. It's crazy experience. Both QuakeCon and these matches for me.
I really enjoy kind of watching videos of myself playing against someone who's infinitely better than me like that.
Yeah.
Because even when I go back and watch the VOD, I still don't understand how they do what they do. Like, I get it. Like, yeah, obviously I'm fucking up. That's clear. But, so you'll see these guys that just like they've memorized every spawn, and they'll stand up on a ledge somewhere and just watch down. Especially in like Warfork and Quake 1 in particular. Like DM4, you go back and watch the VOD. He's just standing in one spot the whole time, and he sees where I'm going to spawn. Boom. All right. Well, I'm dead. Boom again. Okay. All right. Well. And there was no chance. Like, I never had a fucking chance.
Yeah, in Quakeworld, it was... that's actually a game which bring me to Quake back in 1990... whatever,
7,
8,
8,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah, it was a bit later when it was released. I think it was at time when we played Quakeworld for I think year or two, and then the Quake 3 arrived. So I completely skipped Quake 2.
Mm.
I never like spent a lot of time playing this part of the Quake history. So, but you are right that at DM4 you just stand on the ledge up the LG and you control whole level, and we spent a lot of time doing this, and it was actually great fun to be part of the community back in that days, because there were no eSport. Everything was about meeting friends and having fun on the LANs, and yeah, it was kind of crazy days in my life.
And then you so you said you went kind of straight into Quake 3. What inspired you to make the jump, and how did you kind of see it as it happened, since you are a journalist?
Yeah. Now I'm journalist, but it's like that journalism is kind of what I love to do. It's not that, because I knew that I can't compete on high level.
Yeah.
Because I'm speed junkie. I go into the map and I just enjoy the speed of the game and having fun. So usually I'm lazy to think like the top players are thinking. Have you seen that Kilsan video that Red Bull Gaming posted like 2 days ago or something
No.
like that?
No.
It's a Kilsan is on a blood run, and he said, "Yeah, I know what Base is doing. He's camping that teleporter, and he's playing Galina. So he just put 2 totems on the exit of the teleporter, and he's going to hunt him on that lower shield. And then you see he hit the rail, and then explosion of the totems, and Base is dead. Match is equal, and they are going to overtime or something like that. So that's stuff I'm not able to do every time, and I don't care. But I love community and I love the game, so
Yeah.
this is why I'm doing that journalism. But originally it was on the high school, and back in the days there were no professional team, obviously, and everything was based from the city to city. So my friends and classmates played Quakeworld, and they built the team, and they created the team called the Serial Producers of Telefrax, and it was our first team. And they come to me and they said, "You have to have your nickname." So I invented Hawr1x, and it stick with me for that 20 years.
What did the name mean to you? Like nothing.
Actually, I was kind of desperate to invent a nickname. So my father was pharmacist, and I'm basically continue the family business right now. And at that point, he brings some mouse mat that was part of the merchandise of the one pharmacy company. And actually, this nickname is a rework of one vaccine they use for hepatitis B. So,
holy shit!
Yeah, man. So this is it's actually funny, because my kids, as they are growing up, they are right now waiting for their dosage of Hawr1x. So yeah, circle is like closing at that moment. But yeah, so because it is this crazy nickname, nobody else have it. So I'm kind of unique in this way, because you see a lot of people use like other variants of this nickname, whatever. But yeah, and the switch was because we were really surprised by Quake 3 when it was released, because it was big leap for the FPS gaming.
Yeah.
Because when you compared Quakeworld, Quake 2 to Quake 3, it was crazy. And a lot of people from the community actually switched to Quake 3, and it was one of the games that back in the days created the Czech gaming associations and big servers that were covering this game.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of stuff back in the days was built on Quake 3, StarCraft, obviously, and the early versions of Counter-Strike. And this is what built a huge business in Czech Republic. Czech Republic was kind of, I believe, jumping over the rest of the surrounding countries in this, because there was a huge organization called Pro Gamers, and they hold huge lands with crazy prize money, and a lot of people all around the world traveled to Czech Republic for the events. So it was crazy, because Czech Quakers was always like, it's Quake and we don't care about the rest. But when this company managed to bring players such as Lexer or If22 to Czech Republic, we were crazy about it. So yeah, it was. We are going to play TDM in Quake 3, and that was the decision, and we never looked back, basically.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, there's like this disproportionate number or associated with kind of that strong esports culture that's existed pretty much my whole life, at least in Czechia. So like, there's, Quake.cz is, it says the name of the country right there in there, but it's a global website that like lots of people fucking visit for whatever. Like, it's so cool that your country has embraced the esports market, much like South Korea, though they don't really play FPS games nearly as much as the rest of the world. And then,
I don't dare to compare Czech Republic to Korea, to be honest, because they are on a whole different level. But I'm really glad that I did make the decision to switch to English, and that everybody from around the world can arrive and have all the information they need. It was in Czech. Everything was in Czech.
Yeah.
For ages, basically, and then I say, okay, I can do Czech coverage on this level that will be accessible to, let's say, 50 people in our community. Or I can do this in English, and everybody can read it. So I make this decision. I took some flame for hardcore Czech guys, but I can withstand it. So.
When I was talking to Smango, I always talking to him because he's my little bitch if he ever hears this, and but.
I'm waving to camera.
So when you say like about switching to English, and how you said earlier how you're kind of like, oh, I don't know what the quality of English that I'm putting out is. To be fair to you, quakefans.net is written by a guy from Kentucky, so he barely speaks English. Like, English is his English far worse than yours, to be fair.
Thank you.
No, I love you, Sanga. Yeah. You're my man. Kiss, kiss. And then you moved. So moving into Quake 3. That was a really interesting transition, because it kind of like entirely changed the way that the game was played. You no longer, I mentioned a little bit earlier, like you no longer saw a lot of weapon denial going on. It was much more, people are going to say forever until the end of time, there's going to be this argument versus like balance versus what should be or what makes for a better game. Quake 3 and on became more palatable to the public as an esport because it's easier to get a hold of when you first start. As opposed to getting into a Quakeworld or a Quake 2 match and just getting fucking demolished like 97-3 or whatever forever. So you saw a change in the weapons. You saw a change, especially in the armor system and in the timings of items. You no longer had the the wait till your opponent goes below a certain level to pick up Mega. You saw the system what he still used to this day, as far as I understand it, is like the 66.6% armor shard system as opposed to an armor suit system, which honestly I prefer the old way. That's just me, but it makes it a more palatable esport, and we saw that continue and grow over time. And you guys have covered it pretty much every step of the way. You said that you kind of took over at Quake 4. Okay, so how much were you able to? Were you covering Quake 4 just in Europe, or were you covering like the American esports scene at the time?
It was kind of a strange situation for me, because I took Quake.cz after Guy, who was fanatic into Quake 3, especially engine-wise, because he was programmer, and we stay in contact. And I basically did everything in in Czech. So it was we covered all the events that were global, but all the information were in the Czech language. And at the time, ES Reality was working, GGL was working in America. They took over Clanbase for 2 years or what. They were trying to continue that legacy of Clanbase Euro Cups and all the big tournaments. And we did try to do something for the Czech region. And with the guy who was owner before me, we hyped ourselves. We have to go to QuakeCon to visit the event and visit its software. And so we did. In 2007, we decided to go to QuakeCon, and it was a blast for me. It was actually great experience, and we took like 4 days of the QuakeCon, and then we took vacation. We traveled down to Mexico Bay, basically, and we visit its software studios. We were almost put into jail on our first arrival to its software studios, which I'm not proud of, but it was kind of hilarious because we were really hyped about all the situation, and we met, I believe it was Robert Duffy, going to his job, and we jumped out of the car and kind of surprised him. So the security officer came out, and then we find legal way how to get into the studios itself, and Marty Stratton actually and took us through the studios. We have some great photos and great memories of that. So yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So so with Adam Pyle, and it was funny because at that point they were starting to build Quake Live, and because Quake 4 did not succeed. So at that point, I was trying to tell them, you have to support the community. You make all the tools available to us, so we can build upon the game, because that's something that always happened with Quake title. Even when Quake 3 was released, that they start to build upon the game itself, and the Orange. Do you remember OSP? Orange Smoothie Production?
I wasn't around, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, every Quake released got some kind of modification that was making it more playable and more, let's say, understandable to players and audience. So what we were trying to kind of tell them to do, and you know how it resulted. But yeah.
Well,
so at that point we were just a local website, but then Clanbase got shut down, and the guys from our community decided to run Quake Nations Cup, and then it was international. Basically, we took like, I don't know, it was maybe 50 national teams to play in Quake Nations Cup. And they played in Quakeworld, Quake 2, Quake 3, and Quake 4, all at the one time. So we have admins that took care about each of the title, and we hold Quake Nation Cup for all the games for 2 years. And there are some amazing after movies because there are a lot of skillful guy in our community that did amazing movies. There are some players that make it to the top level. Chrissa, for example, I think is like most successful player from our nation. So yeah, so that's what we try to do. And then I decided to travel more for the to visit the events that were mainly in Europe, DreamHack, ESWC, Intel Extreme Masters in Kiev, and it kind of basically gets stuck in 4 years that I spent on the travelings and doing interviews with the top players from Quake 3 at that time, or Quake Live, and I had a blast. But then I kind of get burnt out because it was demanding both on time and money, and usually I never get paid for what I do. And I didn't need it, but I decided that it's time to kind of cut all the stuff out, because there were more activities I did concerning eSports team and other stuff. We basically were trying to get eSport into national television, which we succeeded. I was one of the faces that bring the news to public, and it was really demanding. So I kind of cut off the community.
Yeah.
And I get back after the 3 kids grown up. So it's like come back after, let's say, 4 years, when I started to do that 5th generation of Quake.cz you see right now. And we decided to do it on our own domain. That's why you are linked to quakechampions.cz. But the original is like Quake.cz. And we are trying to finish that website to the point when we are really happy about it. And then we will put it back to the original domain. That's just technical issues we were trying to solve, like directly, to have it on our website.
Let's back it up a little bit here. So I don't know how you weaseled your way into all this shit. So you essentially what you're telling me is that you talked your way into id Software during the development of Quake Live. You went back to Europe. You went to all these cons and everything. You're running the website. You're running all these tournaments, and then you somehow figured out a way to get on national television.
Yeah.
And I saw the video that you sent me. It was interesting. I didn't understand a fucking word you guys were saying, but you're on national TV, international TV, with this beautiful woman. I don't know what the fuck she was saying, but she was very beautiful. And,
yeah, she's better. I will tell her that you love her.
Mwah. Yeah, Mrs. Motherload will probably come kick my ass. But,
my wife as well. So let's cut it out, man.
It's funny, no, but it is a funny situation. Like the power of your passion for this game and for this community, like kind of took you to a lot of really interesting places. So you get on TV. What is it you guys were like trying? What is the message you were trying to get across to the audience at that point?
Back at that time, we were trying to basically educate the audience, because it's like wild comparison. But when you see Slasher at Fox and CNN doing his promotion and like insights for all the happenings in the eSports, this is exactly what we were trying to do. But main difference is that he is doing that on the television that is worldwide, and he's able to send that message. I can argue if he's doing the right job in his way how he's promoting the esports, but thanks God that we are there and that we see people from inside the community, especially Slasher, that grew up with Quake. And I met him on several occasions on the events, and I love the guy. So it's like, who am I to tell him that he should be like more to the topic, to cut the shit and get straight to the business. But that was what we were trying to do. We were trying to say, yeah, there is eSport. There are a lot of money in it. And there are a lot of people that are dedicated to do esports and do esports from both spending their time to play it on high level and to basically, I don't want to say exploit, but find every mean possible that the game is offering for them to dominate in the game. And then there are huge productions that are spending their times to make best possible coverage. And that was the message. But we had issue in that particular show. It was like pre-recorded. So it was really hard for us to make sure that we deliver the information on time. So this is one of the reasons why I think that television as a medium for eSports, it's shouldn't be like main goal, because we have better way how to cover the events via Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, streaming, Mixer, for example, to deliver the message to the people. And also the audience is like used to watch the show on computer and to watch the streams. So it's like, yeah, it sounds good that you can make it to television, but it shouldn't be like main goal, I think.
No, yeah, television's an awful way to get a point across, you know? Like, it's like, especially like you're trying to sell something to an audience that doesn't give it. They didn't tune in for this. They don't give a shit about this, you know, or like politics even. It's just people yelling at each other, talking heads and all that shit. Like television's fucking awful way to distribute information. I think long form podcasts are the best way, or, you know, some sort of proper journalism. But we've seen so many instances like that.
Yeah, especially when you are speaking about in the key best of the best ways how to do the podcast.
Yeah, I think so.
But I agree, man.
There's so many instances of people trying to go on TV to talk about esports, especially back in the day when it was sort of an unknown factor to the vast majority of the world. Now it's very mainstream, but like,
and Fortnite helped it a lot.
Yeah, I hate to say that, but it's true. A lot of people just accept that gaming is part of the culture now. Back then, you see like Machiavelli or whatever going on TV, or, you know, anyone really, and it's very rare that you get a player or a developer who's also a cogent speaker. It's like almost better to send someone like you in who's like you're used to talking and thinking about this in broad terms, because you know, there are definitely players and developers like fucking all the way back to John Romero who are very comfortable being, you know, speaking in front of people and being a character. But a lot of players. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Again, jumping to your speech, and it's like, I think that this is one of the mistakes that eSoftware did back in the days, that they cut off John Romero because he was so fucking into that match that if he was somehow able to push it forward, then Quake would be maybe somewhere else. Because for me, it's kind of hard to admit that, because I went through the peak of, let's say, golden age of Quake 3, because back in the days there were nothing else, and the Quake was, we had amazing numbers when DJ Weed started to do his shoutcast and all the other stuff, Tosspot, for example, Zoo, and other guys that spent a lot of time trying to deliver and cover those events. And that was the golden age when everything was about 3 games, basically. StarCraft, which Korea mastered, basically, and Counter-Strike, that developed through several instances to CSGO, which we follow now, and Quake. Those 3 games were like true eSport. And everyone...
all loosely based on the Quake engine.
I would love to see StarCraft on Quake engine. But that we can say that Blizzard basically stole the technology from Westwood, and that all the stuff went from June 2, which was one of the first game I ever played on PC, and that I loved. So but we are not here to speak about Blizzard, which is almost dead right now. So why we should kick the dead body man? Yeah. So, and right now, what we are trying to do is like to make just the coverage for the people that are in love with the Quake, because I believe that there are a lot of people here that are actually waiting for, let's say, other titles that they believe could push arena shooters on higher levels and higher audience. But personally, I don't believe that it's possible, because if there is anybody who have and abilities to push arena shooters forward, then it is Bethesda and its software. So that's why I believe in Quake and Quake Champions, if it is properly handled in the future.
I don't want to try to get you to say anything that would compromise your position. Getting information out of certain people. So feel free at any point to just zip it and don't worry about it. But
it's like I'm no in position that I should compromise anything or anybody could compromise me, because I'm doing this as a hobby.
Yeah.
And because I love to do it. That's only motor I have. So yeah.
Same.
So I can speak freely, and I believe that even my, let's say, partial connection to Razer is not something that should kind of make barricade to me to speak freely, because we are not speaking about Hong Kong, man.
This podcast is brought to you by Razer headsets. No, I wish. Maybe someday.
Okay, maybe we can do some kind of let's say competition or raffle with us together. Fun. I don't know. I have something here. We can do.
So the reason I say all that is because I know that there are some non-disclosure agreements floating around the Bethesda crew about Quake and things like that. There's people who cannot.
Yeah,
speak.
I didn't. I believe so.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard for me at the beginning coverage on Quake.cz to get to some information, because I say Tokyo help a lot, 04 as well, and also guys from Faceit. At the end, when they see the scale, I'm trying to push the information. So everybody was open, but yes, it's I don't know anything that could compromise anybody or anything regarding the Quake. So that's my position. I'm just the guy who is desperate for information, and that is trying to make his life easier with having that access maybe to certain information. Because again, I can spend my time doing interviews with players or trying to make something that will be more interesting for audience and also for the players, because I don't know, most of the players in Quake Pro League are not in the team.
Yeah.
But it's like 50% or something like that. But the guys that are in team, it's one of the jobs they should do is promote themselves and their team. So why I should put, let's say, 20 hours a week into statistics if I can put it into the promotion of the players and promotion of the game in general. And I believe that also players should be interested to spread the word about what's going on in the Quake. Because you see, you do shoutcast. You have guys like Milton, you have Loktar, you have Rotten Rose, and I believe that everybody in community should click that link, retweet it, forward it, and spread the word that something is going on in the community.
Yeah.
Because at that moment the community is alive. There are just few sources of the informations, and every single one of them should be highlighted, pushed forward. This is what I believe. Because when community said is that game and I don't care anymore, then it became true. But back in the days when you want to bring some information to the community, everybody should had to be signed to that website, and any mean of communication was through comments at news. Now we are living in the age of social media, and all that lazy bastards have to do is click that button to forward the news, to forward your podcast, to forward Shazik interviews that are amazing as well, and maybe if they want, let's say, my links. But it's like you can't force it out of the people. But I believe that the main main mindset should be, I want this game to be alive.
Yeah.
And I want it to thrive. And I want to show all the guys from id Software that are fighting for Quake Champions to be successful, that it's worth of time and investment of the money, because also Zoot said that it's kind of expensive to make all the production. And I can believe it, because if those shoutcasters or guys are traveling each week to London, then you have to pay for the tickets, for accommodation. And when I see how much it could cost for Luca, for example, to get there, then you know that that there are some serious money invested in this business.
Yeah.
So I believe that everybody from the community should be trying to help it, and just the click that button is easiest way they can do it, and they can imagine how much audience they can reach altogether. If everybody from the 2,000 viewers of Quake Champions on Sunday forward or retweet that information about the stream, I believe we can hit 5,000 people. I believe that we have this strength in our community, because Quakers are everywhere. The guys that we drank together and have fun on the lands 20 years ago, for example, just in the Czech Republic, are politicians right now. They are doctors. They are flight engineers. So, and these people make the connection back in the days. And you can't imagine if everybody that make his way from that core of the Quake could spread the world. How much power there it is in Quake community. That's what I believe.
I believe that 100% too, man. I just I also try to respect the fact that people are constantly bombarded with information. Like, so,
yeah,
you know, it's realistically speaking, most people have like a Discord server or like some kind of IRC or chat room or a website that they subscribe to, and they get most of their news from that particular place. And then all the other stuff that they see kind of goes through like a filter of like how they see it. They only have a certain attention span they're going to dedicate to it, and they may or may not like it, or they may or may not even notice it or think it's worth their time. And I respect that 100%. I do it all the time. I don't fucking have time to read every article and every video and like watch every fucking TV show on Netflix or any of that shit. Like who does? So you do have to kind of like figure out what's worth your time. I hope that over time, and maybe not today or tomorrow, maybe this will be the episode, I don't know. People will hear, like my work will speak for itself, and in the keep will become something that's a little bit more viable. But for now, I don't do it because I need money. It's like, it's not a money thing. It pays for itself now. The audience has kind of come through, at least a core group, and like it's paid for. What's amazing is that I get to kind of use this format to talk to people like you, people that I find genuinely interesting, and to spread, as you said, the word of our community, because it's not hard. It's not hard to, if you are passionate about Quake, to just make sure that you let other people know, and you don't have to be forceful about it, as you said. And it's everyone. It's the amount of different career fields that I hear about when I talk to other people who play Quake and Doom and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, we're literally everywhere. We're like Fight Club. Like, and, just sneaking past you at all times, and you don't even know we're there. We come in, we got bloody noses, and we don't have that part of it. Maybe we have like lines under our eyes from staying up all night playing.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
it's like there's a basically switch you make when you start your family and when you have business of your own, that you can't do it anymore because you are so fucking tired every night that you just fell into your bed and die, basically. And you respawn in the morning and say, yeah, okay, I have kids to take care about and job I have to do. So yeah, it's like you are right that you can't force anybody to do something for community, or even notice all the information that are running around. But to be honest, there are not that much information about Quake.
That's true.
It's like if you are part of the community, if you like it, and if you because we are somehow affected by that game. Obviously, you can play any other game with same feelings as you do with Quake. That's my example. It's like I tried Painkiller. I tried Warsaw before it was Workforce or whatever.
Or Fork.
Warfork. Yeah. I'm sorry to misspell it, but I tried, and it wasn't the same feeling I have with Quake 3, Quake 4, or even Quake Champions. It's like it's similar, but I still don't have that feeling when I had playing Quake 3 Arena for 10 years in a row. And also when you are trying other games, you still tend to compare it to Quake. So that's one of the reasons for me. It's just my opinion, where I believe that Diabotical, for example, won't be the game for me, because I don't like the style they are trying to present in general. And they can make it open. They can try to succeed in arena shooters. And all the thing they will do is just to transfer players from one game another, because I don't believe that there is a potential to grow this kind of game into something bigger. Because nowadays young people play Battle Royale. When you see the numbers, everybody is into Fortnite. There are people trying Apex Legends because it's kind of close to Quake movement by its speed, and people are playing League of Legends, Dota, and these are the games that are right now basically making eSports. And Fortnite will be one of the titles that will make it to mainstream because of the mass of the players that are watching it. And arena shooters won't be that genre, but I hope and I believe that we will have still place in some kind of esports production level. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but
I see completely what you're saying, and I don't disagree necessarily, but I would make a few points as to why I think Diabotical has the potential to be successful and maybe reach a wider audience than just the core arena shooter community right now. There are several different reasons why I think all the other games you named are very popular esports, and Quake Champions is not. First of all, Quake Champions has some real fucking serious issues engine-wise that are just... A lot of players are going to turn that shit off immediately as soon as they run into that. As soon as they run into a long queue, they go check the numbers on Steam. And granted, there's definitely a player base for it, don't get me wrong. And I'm not anyone who's trying to stop Quake Champions from being successful. I loved Quake Champions. It is the entire reason why I'm sitting here right now, is because Quake Champions brought me back to Quake, really. But a game like Diabotical has no gore. Yeah, I get it. You don't like the style. I don't necessarily love that style either. I like violence. I like gore and giblets everywhere and all that stuff, and that's fine. That's good stuff. You don't really see that in a lot of these other major esports. If you want it to be showed on TV, or like someone's going to approve it being broadcasted to a wider audience, or even just for parents to like want to let their kid play this. I don't hate that aspect of Diabotical, and I'm not married to Diabotical either. I'm just saying any game like that. So you have that aspect of it. You have the fact that most of these games generally are very dependable and run dependably. Like, a lot of players are able to easily access them and play through them. We just saw this happen with Warfork, where for years Warsaw was just like inaccessible and a lot of people know about it, and then bada bing, bada boom, you slap a fresh coat of paint on it, you put it on Steam for free. All these players start picking it up because, like, hey, a cool new free game. They had no fucking idea what arena shooters are, half of them. Guaranteed. But they're like a free, cool game, and it works when I play it dependably. Then all of a sudden they're like, hey, how do I strafe jump? How do I bunny hop? And then they start asking for tips and things like that. I think there's a potential to grow this genre. There's a whole generation of kids out there that are frustrated to fuck with games like Fortnite and the way that works, you know. And I'm not hating, dude. Like, if you like battle royales, then play battle royales. I don't give a fuck. But if you're looking for something more challenging, that's a little bit more, in tune with you, if you're an intellectual kid, if you're like 12, 13, 14 years old, and you feel like you're not challenged by the other people around you, or you grew up in a small town or whatever, and you have a decent fucking internet connection, you may find your place in Quake. And I think that there's that possibility everywhere. So, like, there's also the marriage to the Quake IP, which I get it. It's always been there. Quake is the arena shooter and all that, but I don't give a shit whether or not it's a Quake game or something else. I think it should, whatever keeps this community together and alive is what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I do understand. And also, as you mentioned, the Gore in games.
Yeah.
Partners nowadays are actually choosing the games that are not violent. So basically, you have partners that don't want to be, let's say, part of the Counter-Strike, for example, because it's violent, and that's the reason why FIFA, for example, is getting bigger and bigger because it's really interesting for a football team or soccer team.
Yeah.
To be part of the business because they can reach a young audience. They have players that they are basically free for them because they are used to pay thousands of dollars to their superstars or millions even. So this is the transition when the big soccer team are hiring players to play FIFA in their jerseys. And it's everywhere, starting in Europe. I don't know how the situation is in US, but in Europe, big teams in Germany, Spain, Italy, Czech Republic, whatever, just name it, have their teams in the FIFA competitions. So I believe that Gore is part of the issue. But then again, as you said, whatever float their boats. You know.
We're always going to have the option to go play the gory games, and that'll be there. And I want that to be successful. I'm just saying, I understand the fact that there are moms out there that don't want their kids playing, games with just fucking guts flying everywhere. Like, I don't agree with it, but I understand where it comes from, and I'm fine with losing that. For instance, we were just talking last night with some guys about how Doom 64 is going to have like green blood as the default.
Mm-hmm.
And the people are all like, oh, fuck this, man. They're going to fucking ruin Doom. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I'm colorblind, so I would never know the difference. And second of all, like, if that's what gets fucking a whole new generation of kids playing Doom on their Switch or whatever the fuck, and then maybe they go pick up a PC somewhere, and then they want to try the real thing, win for us. We all won. So I don't care. I don't give a shit if it's green blood. Like, makes more sense that monsters would have green blood to me. But
obviously,
yeah. And then, but you mentioned you mentioned the FIFA eSports scene. What do you think about like the Olympic Games, or considering hosting eSports in FIFA and stuff like that?
I actually don't believe eSports need it.
No, I don't either.
Because I believe that eSport itself is so strong that it could create its own market, and you don't need to be connected to something like Olympic Games. So if you ask me, and if I would be the guy who should make this decision, I would say, no, we don't need eSports in the Olympic Games. I'm sorry, I will go on because
go ahead.
I don't play, for example, League of Legends. But have you seen the documentary they pushed on Netflix? It's like 2 days ago as well.
No, I'll check it out.
No, you definitely should, because it's a really interesting points. One is that they build the audience worldwide, and they have like millions and millions of players each day playing League of Legends, and they build it from scratch to, I would dare to say, one of the most profitable eSports in general nowadays. And they build it with honest minds. And this is what I take from that documentary. I believe that when you do something like this documentary, you make stuff, let's say, more polished and more eye candy. That it happened.
Yeah.
But in general, it was the moment when I kind of have to push back my tear, because they have huge issues when they were starting, and they were honest with community, and they do right with the community.
Yeah.
Back in that point, and they make this decision that kind of make it admirable for me. That they knew their audience, and they are working with them. They are part of that whole flying circus, basically. And this is what you don't see nowadays, because you see, I'm really sorry that I bring Blizzard back to this conversation, but what you see lately is so obvious and everywhere, that you see that the business of esports and gaming is shifting.
Yeah.
In general, and it's shifting the way I don't like.
Me neither. I don't like the money extraction thing. I want it to be like, be honest with your community, and your community will want to give you money. That's the way I see it.
Exactly. I do pay from time to time to get some coins to Quake Champions, to buy skins or whatever, because I want to support the guys.
Yeah.
When they have eSports pack, I go. I just play my part in it. But when you make it so obvious, like Blizzard is doing, then I'm sorry, it's like, go fuck yourself, because that's not the way you should be doing it. And so no Olympics, man. We don't need it. We are much stronger than sports and the whole Olympic situation. Because what's left, man? What's left usually after Olympics are just debts and a lot of free facilities that are not used anymore. It's just spending the money, and then throw it out of the window because nobody is using that facilities anymore. So that's where Olympics should change, and that's one of the reasons why I say esports is a whole new genre.
Yeah. I don't think that we need the Olympics at all. I was just going to make the joke that it would be really funny if you had like an Olympic Games with Counter-Strike, and it was terrorists versus counter-terrorists, but it was like some like, I don't know, Russia is the counter-terrorist and America are the terrorists. It'd be really fucking hilarious to see that on the big screen. That's all. But we could end up in some really interesting situations.
Yeah, maybe it would be like political unstable situation.
So, we can't have that. We stop that before it happens.
But the truth is that there were a lot of organizations trying to do this. World Cyber Games, for example. Electronic Sport World Cup, ESWC, but they kind of changed their aim lately. So I believe that now the real fight is about the associations of esports. You know, that people are trying to make associations on, let's say, FIFA, NBA, NHL, whatever, but to make the esport associations that would gather players globally. And this is what I see lately, that a lot of people are trying to build some kind of associations that are trying to stay in contact with politicians, and that want to make like head of the esports in general. Yeah.
Esports is
on
still
the other hand,
in the 80s, man. Like, think back to your 80s kung fu movies like Bloodsport, or, you know, like Karate Kid and shit like that.
Kung Fury.
Yeah. What I like about the way that esports functions, or at least definitely arena shooters, is that what we see is we have like these insular communities from different countries or different, you know, like townships, areas, whatever it happens to be. And then they kind of raise up their champion, you know, so like South America sends us a champion, and like, or whatever, you know, America, we have Rafa, we have Dehang. Used to be it was like East Coast, West Coast. We had like the West Coast Bay Area guys, like even hip hop shit like that, and then in the Czech Republic you might have your best player. Russia has their best players. We lost fucking Claus, man. That sucks, but I want Claus back bad. I like that guy. and then we just send them all and like compete, and then we have this big fucking tournament at the end of the year, and there's like we determine who's the best. Like that's a fucking cool way to do it. Having an organization like an NHL equivalent in esports, I don't know. It could definitely be cool, but it's also kind of scary because it's going to turn into big business really quickly, and it's not going to be.
I believe that it's impossible.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, because the main difference is that each game, each IP have its creators, and they are holding that rights. And this is where again I have to go back to Riot. They are gods basically for the game, and there is no force in the world that will tell them you have to submit this kind of. You have to go through some kind of laws, and you will obey somebody that is behind you because they created it. Yeah. They built it from the scratch. And I can imagine Blizzard will allow anybody to tell them what they should do unless they are from China. Yeah. So this is what I think they will maybe try to do, but it's kind of that those creators, the owners of the right, will suspend it to somebody, just to be some kind of organization. Because I believe that every game has to build its own organization.
That's a good point. That example. That's a really good point. Yeah.
And that's also throwback to the early days of Czech Quake, for example. Back at that time, there was a thing called clan-ring. You can see it on the right side. It's inactive on our website. And I kind of go back to that moment. And I said, let's make clan-ring for Czech players, or maybe make it wider. But clan-ring was something that every team that was part of the community have linked on their website. And it was a place where you can find everything about every player and every team. I could compare it to, let's say, Wikipedia. Nowadays, guys are trying to build all the information into Liquidpedia for the Quake community. But obviously, there are not a lot of people working on it, so the things are happening slow. But this is what should be built upon every game. They should have their own organization, because people who are interested in League of Legends, StarCraft, Quake, Doom, whatever, they will never ever do something in other IP.
Yeah.
Because it's like they are everybody that I met are kind of hardcore fans dedicated to some IP, and it's hard for them to switch or to do something else.
I think you pretty much killed that topic. Bam! Like you educated me, man. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Let's get back to Quake.
Okay.
So what excites you right now? Like you're covering the Pro League very extensively and very well, and like the top players have kind of like made themselves pretty apparent. Like it was really awesome. I was at QuakeCon when Kilson won the first day of the tournament. And what have you seen grow since then? You mentioned earlier a little bit about like how, the weapons choices have changed and the way that people are playing. Obviously, every time we see a big competition in Quake, we see a shift. We'll see someone do something, and then everybody starts doing that thing. But what players are exciting you right now, particularly?
I was trying to get that information, and I was trying to ask him, how did he get into Cooler's mind that he's not able to play this this is like number one topic internally for me was, and Marcel was kind of polite and he didn't answer those questions, and maybe I'm kind of happy that he did. And this is what I'm excited for. I'm excited about Wenger, if he can make it in Luka to the top position, because I believe that he had the skills and power to be on the top 2. And and I'm excited for Cooler, because he's one of the guys I know maybe longest time from the community, and from his Quake 3 era till today, I'm a huge fan of his approach and his game. I'm really excited about Rafa, because I believe that he deserves to make a good placement on the LAN. And I don't know if you remember last year when Luka was played. It was in that round base, and he was playing against the Ryze, and it was a real close game on Vale of Nut. And that was one of the few moments in Quake when I was really shouting at my PC, and I was cheering for him, because I was so hyped for him that he have to complete that turnaround and succeed. So these players, for example, there are a lot of stories, because Garpe is one of the oldest players as well in the pool, and he officially basically closed his professional activities last year, and he's still playing. He can still surprise, and that I basically, when I look at the roster of the European players, I believe that every single one except for Wenger I met personally, so it's like the extra layer for me in this.
Yeah.
So I just want to see exciting games. I want to see how the game will evolve, and I kind of want to learn stuff from those people, and that's what I hope for. That we will have a great show in Italy in 2 weeks.
Some of the time it's really cool because my favorite players are not necessarily the best players. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I mean, we could all sit here and say like, who's the greatest player, or like the best player, who gets the most wins, who has the best stats, or whatever. But then there's the players that are just the most exciting to watch. Just why I was talking about Claus earlier. Gib falls onto that list. Definitely, Wenger. It's been really fun over the past, like since Quake Champions kind of like became the prominent thing going on, to watch him grow as a player. Like, because he kind of came on the scene like just like, whoa, what the fuck is this guy up to? Like, what is he on? What is he doing? Like, he's so like just so good. And like, does he have a background in Quake before Quake Champions that you're aware of? I'm not sure.
He played Quake Live, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe he played a few tournaments in that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sick. Yeah. I'm not as in tune with the current standings of Quake Champions nearly as much as you are, and I don't think anyone is, because that's kind of your thing, is you monitor it so closely.
Can't say that I can make those informations that I'm producing into the, let's say, final assumption who is best.
Yeah.
Because every single match is different. And there are just some points that make you interested, because you know that Cooler basically owned whole QuakeCon here. If you have that basic groups, he won most matches, and yet he wasn't able to play equal game with Skillson. You know what I mean? It's like player to player, because I can compare it to that low rank I was playing back in the Quake 3. That if you are practicing with somebody, you knew how to play him, and you play different game compared to let's say public. And same is with Quake Champions, because when you play on ladder, I meet guys that are below my level, and they basically destroyed me.
Yeah, I've been there.
And
we've all been there.
I don't know what to do. You are just lost in that map. And just before we start this interview, I was playing with Actino, which is one of the Russian, let's say, mid-tier players that was part of the Challengers and also FPS Cups back in the day. And I know that he's good player. And I kind of stopped before the game and I say, okay, I will put everything I can into this game. I was lucky. I hit some good rackets. And basically after 5 minutes, I was 6-0 and he left the match. And it was something I did not expect it, because I was prepared to get beaten to shit, you know? And this is that play style of every single player is so different that comparing those two players will put different results. If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
You can say this player is best. You can say, okay, Rafa is best, but when you took like closer look to his stats, he does not exceed in any thing that I'm measuring, basically. But he doesn't have best rackets. He doesn't do most damage. You know,
stats do not measure map control.
Skill.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like that's the thing, is like you could aim is important, you know, but it's either hit or miss. It's there or not. Yeah. And a lot of it, you know, it doesn't cover spam rockets, you know, at all. Yeah. It has nothing to do with your aim. It's like a matter of like, were you trying to deny them an area? And it does not measure your ability to control a map. Even if it's
that's true.
Item timings is even, you know, up in the air. Like you don't necessarily. I've seen Avic do this shit, man. I think it was QuakeCon last year, maybe it was DreamHack, but Avic is like the best fucking passive player I've ever seen. Like he could just go so long without getting an item at all and just move around a map like no one's business. And
and he definitely spent a lot to cover the ground.
Yeah.
So his stats are like lowest one from anybody if you just took look on the rackets. So yeah, that's true. And actually, that was a really interesting game. I loved in Pro League. It was when Cooler was playing with Wenger on Corrupted Keep. Wenger started the map and he was owning. And then Cooler took control. And for 4 minutes, he denied every fucking single item on the map from Wenger. And he managed to tie the game. Then he lost control again. But that type of control you can see in the Cooler's game was so inspiring for me that I changed the way I played the map. Because I say, yeah, this is the way how you should play the map. How should you put the order to the items, and you fucking took everything from your opponent, and then you can just use that shotgun that you learned from Rafa, and you combine those play styles. And this is why I'm so happy about Pro League.
Yeah,
because you have week by week new stuff, and this is I believe back to that topic when community should make some kind of feedback to every single people involved in this happening, from Sync Error 04 Tokyo Punch Out, even casters, Zoot, Ketchup, whatever, name them. You know, it's like they are Chucky. I didn't hear about the guy before. He probably is originating from the Counter-Strike community. And he's bringing so much emotion and so much personality into Shoutcast.
Yeah.
That I believe that instead of fucking everybody and everywhere all the time, which is kind of tradition in Quake community. I don't know why, but I always felt it like that. There is always more hate than let's say clapping on your shoulder. You did a good job.
It's easier to.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah, to
obviously.
complain than it is to help. Like just put your big boy pants on and cheer people on. Yeah, it's hard. Honestly.
Yeah, that's why I do it every time I speak with Shazik and everybody else. It's like, you did a great job, because they spent 8 hours shoutcasting Americas and Europe for us. I'm tired, man. I'm just watching the game. Okay, I have kids. They have day before free, obviously, but at the midnight, when the last games of Americas are finishing, I am fucking dying at that computer. And I want to see those games. I can obviously watch them later.
Yeah.
But I want to see them. And they are still bringing the information what's going on. They are insightful. And this is where you deserve some shout outs from people from community. Because 99% of those guys that are bitching around didn't do anything for anybody. They are just there to say, screw you.
Yeah.
You fuck this. Why? Why so much hatred?
I don't know, dude. We can't fix that problem. All we can do is just be lead by example. You just you're doing an excellent job with it. You're very positive. I try to be positive as much as I can.
No, you're amazing, man.
Thank you.
You are doing an amazing job.
Neil, I think we're about an hour and 20 minutes in. Do you want to kind of get out of here? Closing thoughts? Anything?
I think that what I said was just closing thought, but I'm kind of glad that I can be part of this community. And I'm glad that you decided to pick me for your podcast that I like. And I hope that people that can change both appearance of community and also the game will make most or best possible job to do so. Because Quake was there, and I hope it will be for a few more years, at least. It will be cool. I can shut my PC. I can spend out time with my kid, and I love to do so. But every night when everybody fell into their bed, I'm really glad that I can join some mayhem on the servers, because it's kind of relaxing, and I hope to see all the guys in Luka and to see maybe you on the QuakeCon next year. It all depends if I'm able to, let's say, save money for it. That would be cool.
If you can make it, I'll be there for sure. I'm never gonna miss QuakeCon again, dude. It's the best. It's a party every time.
Yeah. But for me, those events are really cheap, because it's like I don't want to end on the sad note, but when family is involved and when you have to travel to QuakeCon to America, it's really demanding both on time and money. So it's like I was promising myself that to 2019 I will be back, but I didn't manage to do so because of some personal issues. But hope so that I will come back, because it's a great party.
I have no children, so I'll try to make it over to Europe and then we'll hang out there. How's that sound?
Okay. You can stay in my house.
Okay, cool. I'll sleep right over there by your new window. You can put me a bed right there. Take care, man.
No, it will be changed by the time you arrive. But take care, and thank you for your time and for everything you do for community.